the obviously authentic channel. My name's Leah, that's spelled L-E-A and not L-E-A-H. And we're tapped into the next part of, oh, have y'all seen part 2 of the Cecil Hotel? Sorry that this is late, but your girl is in school and we got the school up in here, you know. So y'all already know if I'm looking down, we looking at notes, and I took a lot of notes. So this part 2 confirmed for me that the manager of the Cecil Hotel is creepy. That lady creepy. She weird and creepy, and I don't know if the production team was trying to make her seem weird and creepy, but I told my friends she reminded me of a chick from Harry Potter. I don't think the lady name was Umbridge. I don't know. She was the one that was like, she dressed in like all pink and she was out there abusing the children, and she was just evil. And then she got killed at the end by the centaurs. If you remember her name, I don't know. I don't think it's Umbridge. I think Umbridge was somebody else. Y'all, I'm not that well versed in Harry Potter. I mean, like, I know the things of Harry Potter, but like, I don't know characters like that except the main ones. I don't know the non-main ones. So, but that's how she really give me that she probably done buried some bodies, y'all. I really feel like she probably done killed somebody, and they just believe, because you know the Cecil Hotel is the portal to hell. They just was like, you know what? They died. We don't know who killed them. She probably did it, y'all. That's why American Horror Story is based off of this. Because, whoop! All right. So, the crazy part, so let's get into this. So the crazy part about her is that she never was a manager of a hotel. Like, she never worked at a hotel, which I was like, then why do you want to be a manager of a hotel? I think she's from corporate America, because she said she treated the Cecil Hotel like she was at a corporate job. That's why she wore, the full uniform, the pearls and everything, which at most hotels, especially like high-end hotels, that's what you normally see. So that's not peculiar. But I guess what's weird to me is that she never worked at a hotel. So why would you want to work at a hotel? And honestly, that also lets me know how trash Cecil Hotel is. I don't know if it still is trash. I wouldn't be staying here even before this. It's just like, I don't really do well at like hotels that aren't like, what's the word I'm looking for? Franchises. Like, I like staying at the Marriott, the Hilton, DoubleTree, Candlewood, Holiday Inn, the Sleep Inn. Like, I like staying at places that like I can clearly we could type on the computer, and if it's a real nice hotel, like, I'm thinking of the Ritz, not the Cecil. But the part that got me is that, like, the fact that she has never been a hotel manager and they just gave her the position makes me feel as though it's like nobody wanted that job that probably works in hotel management, because they knew how trash the reputation of Cecil Hotel was. It's like, and probably still is. Like, I really feel like people, like, the fact that they hired someone that has never had hotel experience or a background, and I'm not saying like you can't get a job being a hotel manager with no hotel background. No, you can. What I'm basically saying is, normally if you don't have any background in a job, they don't give you a supervising position. They normally give you, like, receptionist, maybe a cleaner, like you're the hotel staff of cleaning rooms. Maybe you're over financing and stuff like that, but you're not the manager of a hotel that got 15 floors. When she said it has 15 floors minus the 13th floor, which I was like, how can the 13th floor not exist? What? I don't know, y'all. And we know 13 is an unlucky number in some cultures. In America, it is. So I don't know, y'all. I really don't. Like, honestly, I will say, watching this documentary, it's weird, because I like the documentary, and then there's aspects of the documentary I don't like. And if you see me looking down, y'all, I'm looking at notes, y'all already know. But there's certain it's like, For some reason, I didn't like them feeding in and out the YouTube videos. And I kind of saw myself being annoyed with the YouTuber. His name is John Lorden. And then the web sleuth. More so, not even with John. More so with John, I think it's Sabara, which was the web super sleuth. I don't know, y'all. There's something about people who become super sleuths that bother me, only because I feel it's like they end up doing more harm than good. Yes, there have been people who have been able to be helpful with their investigations. Like, they even show proof of that, which I think is wonderful. But like, I oftentimes feel like when people get that involved in the cases, they spread misinformation, which causes the police to like then go through and have to comb through your misinformation, which in turns put the victims at risk. So that's one thing. That's like something I don't know. I don't like. And I liked how the journalist, I can't remember his name before, who was like, it turns into an obsession. And that's what it seems to be. So we ended up finding about John Lord, and I even looked at his YouTube channel. He has a crime YouTube channel, so they discuss different, it's like kind of like a crime podcast and things of that nature. He has like over 100K followers, so that means a lot of people are interested in him. He said he started his actual YouTube channel because of this case with Elise Lamb. And then the John Sabatin guy, who's a super sleuth dude, he created a Facebook page of like people who were interested in like talking and discussing the case and like helping find her. Which I'm like, how can you help find somebody and you don't live in their state? Because it really didn't explain specifically like where people were living. But I don't know. He just weirded me out. Something about him was weird. That's just me. But John ended up saying, and this is John the YouTuber, who said that like once they posted the views, after about a few weeks, her video ended up having 25 million views. And it basically created like a whole bunch of web sleuths and a media frenzy. Because everybody was like, the video is weird. Because watching the video is very weird. And it raises red flags. Like, she kind of starts acting weird. Like, her hand gestures. It was weird that she pressed all the buttons. And it was also weird that the video of, like, the door never closed. If you've ever been on an elevator, you know after you step in there a couple of minutes, the door closes. It might not go anywhere, but it closes. And you have to press a button. So it was weird that the door didn't close after a few seconds of her getting in. Also, people who were on the internet who created YouTube videos were like, did she get pulled? Because when people were like really like honing in like frame by frame of the video, they said they saw a footprint. And like, I didn't see a footprint, but they said she didn't have on shoes. She had on flip-flops, which she did. I saw her flip-flops. But it looked like she had on, it looked like there was a footprint that popped out of the frame. So like someone like, people said maybe someone grabbed her. Then when you also look back at the video, you see her like moving her hands like she's talking to someone. But then she also looks like she's trying to hide from someone, because when she gets into the actual elevator, she like backs into the corner closest to where the buttons are. And if you ever been in an elevator, you know, closer to the buttons, you can't see anybody there if you're coming from the other direction. So it seemed like she was hiding from someone, but nobody was in the hallway from what the police have said. Later on, we end up finding out that the video had been edited, or it seems like it has been edited. I watched it twice. I was kind of confused a little bit, but basically, I think based on my notes, they were saying that like 53 seconds looked shaved from the video, because when you look at the timestamp, you couldn't make out the timestamp. But people started to like decode the timestamp because it looked blurry at the bottom. And they deduced that there was like 53 seconds missing, because you see the door kind of jump And it's like, okay, but it didn't close. So some people feel like somebody tampered with the video because they were like, was somebody in there with her, or maybe did they walk in front of the door to catch the camera? Like, did the camera catch someone and the police are trying to save someone, or did someone who had availability to the videos before the police got to them, did they take the person out? Which I'm kind of like, it would be hard to edit video, but like for 53 seconds, I'm like, maybe? I don't know. So then we get to, I'm looking down, everyone looking at her digital footprint. So what we end up finding out is that Elise Lam had bipolar disorder. And like we noticed in the first part, she used Tumblr actually as like her diary. So a lot of people kind of like who popped up, who became web sleuths and who started their YouTube channels discussing the case were felt connected to her through her constant plugging into the Tumblr and writing out her thoughts and her feelings. I don't know why, but I felt like it was very intrusive. And I don't know if you guys felt that way. If you felt that way, pop it down below. But I don't know. I felt like people were like, I don't know. I felt bad for her. Like, even though she's, unfortunately, like she's no longer with us, it just felt like people combing through her, like her Twitter, not her Twitter, but her Tumblr. It just felt intrusive to me. It just felt really gross. I don't know why. Because people were saying they felt connected to her. And I'm like, you can clearly see like she needed, like she was vying for people to be her friend. But it just like, I don't know. I just felt like, I felt bad because it was like, it felt like a diary. And a diary is supposed to be personable. Not personable, but personal. And she was using it to communicate like her feelings and thoughts because maybe she felt like she couldn't, obviously she couldn't say that to other people around her. And maybe she didn't have the friends for that. But I don't know. It felt weird. And I think that's why I got weird vibes from the John Sabahan guy. Because he just felt weird. And it felt like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't get genuine vibes from him. Because I think I felt like it felt to me that even him, but other people too, that it was like a hobby for them. Like he talked about how he was going between jobs and he was also in school. And then he got interested in the case and it gave him a purpose. So it was like her life gave you a purpose. And I guess other people, so it didn't feel real. Like, I don't know. It just felt disingenuous. And I'm rambling, and I'm sorry about that, but this is how I felt throughout this episode when they were introducing the web sleuths and the YouTubers and stuff like that. It just didn't feel like they genuinely cared. And maybe they do. Like, maybe they legitimately, like, genuinely cared about her. But I guess through this part, too, I didn't get that message. It wasn't conveyed to me. So, that's just my opinion. They could genuinely care, but I just felt like it just didn't feel right. I don't know. Maybe I just felt like it was just like a violation of like her inner thoughts. Even though she was sharing it to the world, it just felt like a violation because the internet is open to anybody. And I don't know, like, I don't know how Tumblr really works, but I think you can, I don't know if you can private a page or not, but she was talking to someone. I don't know. I just felt like it was just intrusive and it was a violation of her privacy, even though she wasn't really being private because she was putting it on the internet for people to read. But that's just me. We end up finding, like I said, she's bipolar. She finally found the right antidepressants to help her out. We also realized that the police came back in and they were saying based off the video, she might have been on some type of drugs like LSD. Because we get introduced to Kim Cooper, who is a LA historian. Like, we got introduced to the other two, like, people. So we got introduced to the doctor, who I think is so cute with his fine black self. he was a historian about Skid Row, and then the other young man, the other man who was discussing, who was also an LA historian. But she talked about how 12 blocks out the seat behind, past the Cecil, I guess is Skid Row, and you're open to a open store market of like drugs. Like anybody is down to give you drugs, because that's just what they do. We end up finding out that Elise had to be moved to another room, a private room, because she was in a room full of girls, but they said she was acting weird and they felt uncomfortable, so they moved her to a private room. That's when we talked about the elevator. I'm looking down trying to make sure. I keep going through. Okay, so we ended up finding some interesting information about the Cecil Hotel. So basically, in 2007, gentrification was happening in downtown LA. So they were building up, putting up apartments and things of that nature. And someone bought the Cecil for $26 million, and they wanted to redo the whole entire infrastructure. Unfortunately, there were 80 tenants who had been living in the Cecil for 34 years, and they were paying rent, but their monthly rent was like $400, which is not that much, and or maybe less than that. And they wanted to evict them, but we learned from the Skid Row historian that they couldn't kick the people out or evict them because there was a Skid Row plan where the Cecil Hotel was deemed a residential hotel. So they couldn't kick the patrons out if they were constantly paying rent. So some people were paying monthly rent or like, I guess, daily compensation to stay there. So they couldn't kick them out. So they were kind of at a standstill. We also learned that the Cecil has always kind of been a hotbed for death from the LA historians. There was like a lot of suicides. They even talked about a young lady in 1962 named Pauline Odin. She was getting a fight with her husband and she jumped off the 7th floor and killed herself and fell on top of somebody and killed that person as well. So we have that. Rest their souls. Then we have Pigeon Goldie. She was named, that was like her nickname because everyone knew about her feeding the pigeons. Well, some horrible person got into her room. They sexually assaulted her. They strangled her to death and they stabbed her to death. So I was like, that is horrible. And I hope because I believe in the afterlife, I hope she's somewhere in heaven living her best life. Because that is wrong and that is horrible. And then we get reintroduced to Mr. Keith Givens. That was the older guy we saw, the older black gentleman we saw who moved from New York all the way to LA. And he talked about how he lived on Skid Row for a few decades. And he basically said like it was just lawless. He said no, he never went up to the 6th floor. Anything past the 6th floor normally mean you would die. And he was like people would get robbed, beat to death, and thrown out the window. I said, oh my goodness. Yo. So he was like, you never go above the 6th floor, which makes more sense about American Horror Story Hotel, because when the serial killers would meet for that death night, I can't remember if I'm quoting it right, they would meet all the way at the top. And that's also where Lady Gaga's like vampiric character lived, up at the top. So I was like, that's crazy. Then they talk about the Night Stalker, who we all know was Richard Ramirez, who was a horrible person, a human being who was just killing people for no reason. He was actually a tenant at the Cecil Hotel. So during those 2 years where he horribly killed those people, they said that people would see him come back with nothing but blood on his clothes. He would take off his clothes in the alleyway, then walk up the steps with nothing but bloody drawers on and go to his room. And no one ever pressed him about that. That should let you know that his aura was just dark, and also that like too much death was like normalized around that hotel. I was like, that's scary. Like, I was like, no one offered him help. Because that would be my first thing, would be like, oh, can we get you to the doctor or something? And then once you get to the doctor, call the police. I was just like, yo, that's wild that that man was out here killing them people that long. And none of y'all did anything that worked at the hotel. But then again, they probably couldn't do nothing. Like, this whole part 2 was just like mind blowing to me for some reason. Especially when they dropped that information about the Night Stalker. Because I was just like, he really lived in that hotel. And now it makes sense why in American Story Hotel he would come back to the hotel. I was like, that's wild, y'all. Then the manager talked about how bad the reputation was at the Cecil Hotel. Like, it was called the Suicide Hotel. It was also called the Death Hotel. She read a comment where someone put on the Yelp review, Cecil Hotel where dreams go to die, and she felt some type of way. But I'm like, ma'am, your hotel is full of death and despair. That's what it is. Like, I could not legit work there knowing that much issue, like that much happened there. I mean, things happen. People do pass away in hotels and things of that nature. But the fact that, like, it happens so often, and I'm very superstitious, my mindset would be like, there's a presence here that clearly don't want us here, or is getting off about like killing people in the most gruesome and horrible ways. I would not want to work there. Low key, every time if I did have to work there, like the maintenance man or anybody else, I would be spraying holy oil on my body every day and screaming the blood of Jesus every time I walk. Like the prayers I would be sending up to Jehovah while I was in there would be deep. Because I'd be like, I can't. So then we end up finding out, and I guess this is how they was trying to get over on like the system so they could still make money. They basically turned the Cecil Hotel into 2 different hotels. So they had 2 different lobbies. They had the Stay at Main Hotel, which was like turned into a youth hostel, which I ain't never wanted to live in, like never wanted to be in no hostel. The horror movie Hostel scarred me because I saw it when I was like, I think in like middle school or high school. Like, I had to be in middle school, and it made me so uncomfortable. And plus, I'm a very like, I need my own space, and the thought of like sharing rooms with strangers makes me uncomfortable. So I could not do that. That just could not be my move. If you do it, good for you, but that's not a thing Leah want to do. So basically, the Stay at Main, it occupied 3 floors. So the 4th through the 6th floor was the Stay at Main hotel rooms. So they redid the rooms. They repainted them. They got bunk beds. They got new bed sheets and new linens and things of that nature. And then the tenants, who were like the people who had been staying there, they stayed on the 2nd and 3rd floor. They had 2 different lobbies. The only thing that was that they could not change that was there was the elevators. So everybody had access to the elevators. So that means the young kids that were going there, the tenants who are like, it's been made known that were either mentally ill, just dropped off from jail, or drug addicts, or just homeless people in general, they all had access to the elevators. So then she even said, she was like, it was a band-aid on a bad reputation. I still wouldn't want to stay there. But now it's been referenced that it's been 19 days since Elise has been missing, and it's February the 19th, 2013. That is the day they actually found her. Unfortunately, she was in the what's it called, the water tank on top of the building, and that tank is used for water, so like for you to wash in, brush your teeth, probably drink, for them to clean and all of that, things of that nature. So people were definitely freaked out. The sad part about it was that she was in the tank, she was naked, her clothes were off, and she was flipped over, so she was looking up. and they said the latch on the door, like the hatch on the door, was closed. So they didn't say if it was locked. So that's my thing. Like, they didn't make mention if it was locked or not in this part two, because I was like, did she get in and was like, oh, she wanted to go swimming? Because I'm of the, like, after looking at the video, because like I said, I haven't read up on the case or anything like that, so I don't know what like, until I get to part 4, where, or even in part 3, where they explain like what really transpired through their research, what really happened. But I'm of the belief that maybe she did take something, or maybe something had to happen, because the way she was like moving her hands, and for her to touch all those buttons, she looked spooked. So right now I'm of the mindset of saying that maybe someone did like hurt her and put her in there, or maybe she got in there herself, and something had to happen. Like, I don't know if like something's gonna be brought up that like it was foul play, or if it was not, but it kind of reminds me of the Kanika Jenkins case, where unfortunately that one young lady, they found her in in the hotel freezer. So, and they said there was no foul play there either, that like she walked into the freezer. So like, I don't know if they're gonna ever, like, if they explain that later on. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, if I had to rate the documentary, because right now I probably give it, like, if it's like a 1 out of 10, I give it like a 60. Like, so like a 6. So that's a 60, because it's not holding my attention that well, not like Evil Genius did. I'm not like rushing to go like watch it, although I think it's important that they shed light on it because someone lost their life. It's just, I don't know, I'm not pulled to it. I am definitely interested in seeing like what was the outcome. Like, did someone harm her and put her in there, or did she get in there herself? That's what I'm interested in. I'm trying to not like read online what is it about, because I do want to like come into it with an open mind, because when this was happening, I think I was like a freshman in college or a sophomore in college, and I don't remember my school really like focusing on it, and I don't really watch the news like that. So I do remember seeing the video, but I wasn't into like analyzing it. To me, I just felt bad that she was missing and that her family was going through it. So like, I wasn't into like deeply investigating it like that. And plus, stuff like that bothers me. So like, the way my emotions is set up and my anxiety, my nerves would have been shot. But yeah, y'all, that's it. That's all. I hope you come to part 3. Remember, be bravely authentic. I hope you're having a good day whenever you see this. And drop in the drop in the comments below. I definitely want to talk about this with somebody. So you let me know if you're enjoying the documentary so far, and if you could, what would you add to the documentary if you think like what could be better. But yeah, have a good day, y'all. And again, be bravely authentic. Deuces.